The island of Corsica, sunny and warm in the Mediterranean Sea, doesn't seem like the birthplace of someone who would change Europe forever. But it was here in 1769 that Napoleon Bonaparte was born. His family wasn't super rich, but they were nobles, and they taught him to be proud and ambitious. These qualities would shape his whole life. Picture young Napoleon, a boy with sharp eyes, always wanting to learn. He loved reading about history and war. He dreamt of being famous, of doing great things beyond his little island. He went to school in Corsica and then in France, where he learned about new ideas that were changing the country. But life wasn't easy. Other kids made fun of him because he was from Corsica. This just made him want to prove them wrong even more. He was great at math and military studies, showing the kind of strategic thinking that would later make him a legend. The French Revolution, with its big promises of change, was about to give him his chance to shine. The year 1789. France was in chaos. The old ways were being thrown out. The Bastille, a symbol of the king's power, was torn down. Napoleon, a young artillery officer, saw all this and knew it was his chance. He liked the revolution's ideas because they could help him get what he wanted. He had studied hard and was a skilled soldier, and people noticed. In the many battles against the king's supporters and other countries, Napoleon became more and more important. He was a brave and clever commander, winning battles no one thought he could. His quick victories in Italy made him a hero to the French people. They were tired of fighting and wanted peace. Napoleon, who seemed unbeatable and promised order, looked like the answer to their problems. He was on his way to becoming the most powerful man in France. France in the late 1790s, tired of fighting but wanting to be great again. Napoleon, back from his victories, was treated like a hero. He saw that the Directory, the government in charge, was weak, and he started to plan. In 1799 he made his move. With help from important people, he took over the government. France, tired of problems, mostly accepted this. Napoleon, the master planner, had won. He made the government stronger and started making big changes. France, under his strong leadership, began to recover. But Napoleon wanted more. In 1804, in a huge fancy ceremony, he made himself Emperor of the French. The Republic was gone, and a new era had begun. Now in charge of France, Napoleon looked to the rest of Europe. He wanted to rule it all, to make it like he wanted. The Napoleonic Wars, a series of big fights all over the continent, were about to start. From the sunny battlefields of Spain to the freezing plains of Russia, Napoleon's armies marched. He was a brilliant general, outsmarting and defeating his enemies with clever plans and bold moves. Austerlitz, Jena, Wagram, his victories were famous everywhere. He put his own people in charge of other countries, changed borders and made nations do what he wanted. For a while it seemed like no one could stop him, but his victories caused new problems. The countries he conquered started to feel national pride, and this would eventually lead to his defeat. Section 5. A new order, the Napoleonic Code and its enduring legacy. Napoleon wasn't just a fighter. He thought he could make things better. He wanted to be remembered not just for battles, but for changing society. The best example of this is the Napoleonic Code, a set of laws that are still important today. Created in 1804, the code got rid of old, unfair laws and said everyone is equal under the law and has individual freedom. It made French law, which used to be different everywhere, the same across the country. The code was so important that other countries copied parts of it, spreading the ideas of clear laws and individual rights. Even now, legal systems around the world are influenced by it. Napoleon the Conqueror was also a lawmaker, and his code shows his vision for a modern society. Section 6. The Empire unravels, seeds of doubt and defeat. The year 1812, Napoleon, at the height of his power, took his grand army into Russia. He wanted to defeat the Tsar and control all of Europe. But Russia would be his downfall. The huge size of Russia, the hot summers and freezing winters, and the Russians burning everything as they retreated were too much. Napoleon's army, weakened by hunger, sickness and constant attacks, was much smaller. The terrible retreat from Moscow, a story of suffering and loss, ended Napoleon's image of being unbeatable. His enemies, seeing he was weak, started to fight back. His luck had run out. Section 7, Waterloo's Echo, the final stand of a military titan, the year 1815. Europe watched as Napoleon, escaping from the island of Elba, came back to France. He wanted his empire back, but his enemies were ready. The last part of Napoleon's story was about to happen at Waterloo. On June 18th, 1815, near the small town of Waterloo in Belgium, two armies fought to decide Europe's future. Napoleon, the brilliant general, fought against the Duke of Wellington, the tough British commander. The battle was long and fierce. Just when it looked like Napoleon might win, the Prussian army arrived and helped defeat him. Napoleon's dreams of empire were over. Section 8. Exile on St. Helena, Reflections of a Fallen Emperor. Far away in the South Atlantic Ocean, a lonely island became Napoleon's prison. Sent to St. Helena, far from the battles and palaces he used to know, he lived a sad life. No more armies, no more cannons, no more victories, just the ocean, the birds, and his memories. But even defeated, people were still interested in Napoleon. He wrote his memoirs, telling the story of his life. He thought about his wins and losses. Was he a hero or a villain, a good leader or a bad one? No one knows for sure. Section 9. Napoleon's Enduring Shadow, Legacy and Legend. Napoleon Bonaparte died on May 5, 1821, on that faraway island. But his story, like the memory of his battles, is still important. Even today, people have mixed feelings about him. He was a great general who changed how wars are fought, a cruel leader who defeated his enemies, a reformer who made France modern, and an emperor who wanted to rule Europe. People still talk about him, write about him, and make movies about him. He changed Europe, its laws, and how we think about history. Napoleon Bonaparte, the boy from Corsica who became Emperor of the French, remains a mystery, a legend.